Now that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is out in theaters, a lot of fans around the world have been very intrigued about the future of the Star Wars franchise and what could have been before the reshoots and the rewrites of this movie by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 is that we do know that this movie took many different risks, and it really did a lot of moments for the sequel trilogy where you look back at The Last Jedi in different ways, and that was one achievement by, of course, Disney and Lucasfilm and J.J. Abrams, Chris Terrio, the co-writer, in order to really make us look back at the sequel trilogy in a different light. Now, like I've said before in the past in my spoilers review for The Rise of Skywalker, I really feel like that this movie is an emotional roller coaster. There's a lot of scenes that I love and hate in this movie, and throughout this month of January, a lot of interviews have been done between J.J. Abrams, Mary Ann Brandon, Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, talking about The Rise of Skywalker and everything Star Wars, and what's really intriguing to me is exactly what they had to go through with the production of The Rise of Skywalker and exactly what they had to experience during the production of this movie, since it really was the hardest production of all the Star Wars movies. Under Disney, ever since they were, taking over Lucasfilm back in 2012 and developing this new Star Wars universe. Now, with that being said, what's rather intriguing all has to do with what Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, and Mary Ann Brennan have said during this month of January. Now that The Rise of Skywalker has crossed $1 billion at the box office and is getting ready to exit out of the theaters this February, they are planning their new Star Wars trilogy of films as well as their new Star Wars TV series on Disney Plus for the next 10 years and more. Recently, many interviews across many media outlets talked to those associated with Lucasfilm, such as Kathleen Kennedy and even director J.J. Abrams, as well as Chris Terrio and more about the production of the film and the use of fan service, and that both J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, when asked about the production of the film, admitted the truth that it was a rushed production and that they had to work around many changes due to the reshoots. Even the editor of the film, Mary Ann Brandon, admits that they cut out a major scene that was going to explain exactly how Palpatine came back to life in the movie. This was deleted since Lucasfilm wanted to keep Palpatine's return a big mystery to the fans, and that it would only waste screen time. Also, when asked about deleted scenes from the movie, it's noted that Reylo was a last-minute decision by J.J. Abrams in order to satisfy the Reylo fans. J.J. Abrams shot the Reylo scene toward the very end of production before the reshoot started, and that this was a last-minute addition to the movie, and that it was even altered during the reshoots to make it more emotional. JJ admits that also there were more action scenes for Palpatine that were actually deleted from the movie, and that Ian's screen time was reduced to not overdo things for the Emperor. When asked about the decision about Rey Skywalker, this was actually a decision and an idea made by Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy and not originally from J.J. Abrams. However, J.J. Abrams loved the idea and decided to write it into the script, where this was a way for Lucasfilm to satisfy fans who wanted Rey Skywalker in the sequel trilogy. So, the thing about this that I think a lot of fans have an issue with, when we look at The Rise of Skywalker as a film, and I'm sure a handful of you guys are going to agree with me and disagree with me, because some people like this idea, the concept of Rey Skywalker. Now, I personally do not like this idea. I feel like it was a bad decision by Disney and Lucasfilm. I don't know what they were thinking, but that's just my take on things. The fact that Kathleen Kennedy is the one who came up with this idea, and how J.J. Abrams is the one who actually liked the idea from Kathleen Kennedy and decided to write it into the script, it just tells us that Kathleen Kennedy had a lot of say in the matter of exactly how this movie was going to be made, and a lot of those decisions were not really made by J.J. per se, but they were made by Kathleen Kennedy, though J.J. Abrams agreed with many of those decisions made by Kathy Kennedy. Now, the thing about this is that we do know that Kathleen Kennedy now no longer has creative control over some of the Star Wars projects currently in the works, including the new Star Wars trilogy, The Mandalorian Season 2, the Kenobi TV series, you name it, which I honestly believe is a great addition to how they're going to reset the franchise and how they plan to literally just change the Star Wars universe, how they're going to handle this franchise moving forward. Kathleen Kennedy not being involved with creative choices is a big step, is a big positive change in my opinion. So the other thing is taking and deleting the scene out of Palpatine and how he returned, and exactly how he was able to come back to life, I think was another big problem with this movie. And Mary Ann Brennan talked about this not long ago, that they actually decided to do this because they didn't want to overdo things with the Emperor. Also, J.J. Abrams talked about how there were more action-related scenes for Palpatine. This also lines up with the leaks that we talked about, of how there were scenes that were shot for Palpatine using a red-bladed lightsaber against Kylo and Rey inside of his throne room on the world of Exegol. So that, to me, I think would have been a positive to the movie, to at least have more action scenes related to Palpatine. And the reason as to why they were deleted is because they didn't want to overdo things for the Emperor. And Reylo was a last-minute decision. I mean, that really is a big thing. It seems like that this movie was meant to satisfy many different groups of the Star Wars universe, or many groups of the Star Wars community, if you will. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.